YouTube. I am Bree Barton. I'm the author of the YA fantasy novel Heart of Thorns, coming at you summer 2018 from HarperCollins. I am pretty new to vlogging, so if you're new to my channel, I'm new too. Please subscribe and I'll get to see more of you and you'll get to see more of me. Today's video is super fun and special. It's something I've been looking forward to for months. I have teamed up with two other debut authors. One of them is Kim Chance, a fellow debut and a veteran vlogger. If you haven't subscribed to Kim's channel, do it. She's so kind and generous and she gives so much great advice about writing and publishing and living in general. The other is Dana L. Davis, who is new to vlogging like I am, another debut author, and she does really interesting, funny videos, everything from Hamilton raps to talking about racial stereotyping to her career as an actor and a writer. Please subscribe to Dana's channel too if you haven't already. The reason today's video is special is because we're answering your questions. We ask you to send us questions about publishing, writing books, agenting, where we get our ideas, anything. And we've split those questions up and each of us is hosting 5 of them on our channel. So on my channel, you'll see questions 1 through 5. On Dana's channel, you'll see questions 6 through 10. And on Kim's channel, you'll see questions 11 through 15. And somehow we've edited them all together, we hope. So without further ado, question number 1.
Well, I can only speak from personal experience on this one, but my editing process was incredibly encouraging and incredibly collaborative. My editor went through and read through my manuscript several times and wrote me an edit letter with all of the suggested changes. But those changes weren't like set in stone, you must do this. It was, this is what I think is the best in regards to this particular item or the direction of the novel. What do you think? And so we would go back and forth and discuss it, and if we felt like we needed more opinions, we would ask my agent or we would ask whomever. Like, it was very, very collaborative and supportive. You know, of course they do want to tighten things up, and of course they address grammar and, you know, mechanical issues, but really what they want to do is just kind of make the story shine without changing too much. Like, you know, there may be some developmental things that need to be fixed, but ultimately I think they want the author to feel like the story is still theirs, or at least that was my experience, and that's how I felt. Like, there wasn't anything major that I changed. There was, you know, there's some pretty big changes, but nothing that I felt completely changed the tone or the feel of my book. And so yeah, for me it was very collaborative.
For me, the editing process was really amazing. I loved working with my editor TS over at Harlequin Teen, and I felt really properly guided and supported. I feel like the editing process should be like this. You have a manuscript that you're really proud of, and once you move through this months-long ordeal of editing and fixing and reshaping and shifting, I feel like you should have a manuscript that's reached its highest potential. And that's exactly what happened with 7 Days of Stone. I feel like we managed to take something that I was really proud of and allow it to reach its highest potential. And I couldn't have done that without my amazing editor. I think it requires a lot of communication. I know that some people do go through complete overhauls. That wasn't really the case for my book. It was more like fine-tuning, shifting scenes around, that sort of thing. So it was a process I really enjoyed and something I really look forward to for my next book.
So like Kim and Dana, I have found the editing process to be very collaborative and nurturing and also exciting and inspiring. I love what Dana says about the manuscript reaching its highest potential through the editing process, and I really feel like that's true. If you write a book about zebras in France, they're not going to acquire the book if they really want a book about fish in Australia. They like zebras in France. They want to help you make those zebras and that France the best possible zebras in France. I love my editor. Alex Arnold is amazing and we work really well together. And in fact, I've had some of the best ideas for editing my own work in conversation with Alex. I actually did do some drastic rewrites on my book, but it's not because Alex made me, it's because we got on a phone call together and what she was saying was sparking all these ideas I was having, and there were things in my first draft that I really wasn't happy with and I felt were problematic. And so as Alex and I were talking, it's like I was rewriting the book in my mind. I went, oh, I could do that and I could do this, and I was bouncing ideas off her, and it felt like that magical thing that happens when we have a good collaborator where we are inventing and creating and improving our own creative ideas by meshing minds with someone else. Live long and prosper, all you fellow Trekkies out there.
It's absolutely incredible. There is no greater feeling than having this team of people in your corner supporting you, rooting you on, and doing everything they can to help make your book a success. It is a very collaborative and engaging and exciting and intense kind of experience, but it's really, really incredible and one that I have enjoyed immensely so far.
I've actually been lucky enough to meet my editor and some of the other people on the HarperCollins team. I actually made a video about it, which I'll put in the links below. It was one of the best days of my life, getting to walk into this beautiful publishing house that I dreamed about since I was a kid, writing, you know, stories on my word processor, and meet this team of people who had read my book and were excited about my book and believed in what I was trying to do. It was a room full of women. For all you girls and women out there, it's so encouraging to be in a professional space with all of these brilliant, talented, capable women who believe in empowering books. My book is a fierce feminist fantasy, so we had this amazing conversation about sisterhood and the power of coming together with women and telling stories that matter. It was amazing.
Okay, so working with an agent. I feel like every agent-author relationship is different and completely unique. For me, I like to check in with my agent periodically. If I'm working on something, I like to send him the outline or a synopsis or sample chapters. That really works well for me, and my agent enjoys that because he likes to sort of guide and help me along the process. As far as working with my pub house, for me, it's just been really exciting. I know the last communication I had with them was a cover concept, and when I saw my cover concept, I just burst into tears. I mean, it's so amazing to have this story that's built in your mind. And then this publishing house sort of makes your dream come true. I mean, they take the thoughts out of your head and create this picture, and it's really sort of an overwhelming experience. So I've really had a great relationship with my agent, and I've really had a wonderful, exciting relationship with my publishing house so far. And the two together sort of creating this awesome debut experience for me is just sort of otherworldly. And I'm really excited that I get to, you know, do this vlog journey and share it with you guys, and also connect with the other debut authors like Kim and like Bree. This has been such a special time for me in my life, so. So I actually got my agent in 2013, and I used an agency book that I actually purchased from Barnes & Noble. But if you're currently looking for an agent, I would strongly suggest using Twitter, because most literary agents are on Twitter, and they oftentimes will post what types of books that they're looking for, or even if they're open to queries at the current time. So definitely check out Twitter.
I have 2 tricks for populating a list of agents you want to query. One of them is old school. You go to Barnes & Noble, you go to your favorite bookstore, and you just look in the acknowledgments pages of books you like or books that are like yours, and you find the agent's name, and you know that agent represents an author who's doing work that you like and that's similar to your work, so you can use that to populate your query list. The other way is Twitter. I think Dana's absolutely right. Twitter's an incredible resource, and that is how I found my agent. I just loved her tweets. Her Twitter handle was so cool. Secret Agent Bree. My name is Bree. She was so warm, and I knew a couple other people who had her as an agent, and they gave rave reviews, and that was all I needed to query her, and here we are.
For me, the biggest resource in terms of researching agents and figuring out which agents I wanted to query was a website called querytracker.net. And it's kind of a dual feature because it allows you to track the queries that you send, which is fantastic because you can keep track of that, which is great. But it also has a database of publishing houses and editors and of course agents, along with a profile for each of those. And so it was really helpful for me to kind of enter in the search. I was looking for agents who accept fantasy, agents who are YA. I mean, it has all of these search filters, and so it really helped me narrow down my list and kind of hone in on some of those agents that I hadn't already had on my list from like a basic Google search. So querytracker.net is amazing. It costs about $20 a year, I think, for a premium account, but it's totally worth it. It's an incredible resource, and I highly recommend it.
Well, my agent actually works out of Philadelphia, so I would definitely say logistics do not matter in this sort of age of everything digital. And in fact, fun fact about my agency, we have, I think, 5 agents, and they all live in different cities. So it definitely shouldn't matter where your agent is so much as the connection that you and your agent have. And if your agent is really passionate about what you're writing, I think that's really key.
I think the most important thing to look for when you're researching agents is looking for someone that you have a lot in common with and someone who you feel like is going to gel with your personality. You know, it's kind of like, who are you gonna sit with at lunch when you're in high school? Like, you want it to be somebody that you can talk to, someone that you feel comfortable with, and someone who kind of gets who you are as a writer. And do logistics or location matter in terms of securing an agent? I would have to say no, because we're living in a digital age, and honestly, like, I've never even met my agent in person. Like, I've spoken to her on the phone several times, and we email, of course, and text, but I mean, I've never met her, and the same with my publisher. So everything is done via email and phone call. So I definitely think that you could secure an agent based on various locations depending on where you are. You might want to double check that, but I personally don't see any problem with it, but that is definitely something you'd want to research.
I have been lucky enough to meet my agent on a couple of trips to New York. Like I said, my agent's name is Bree, and my name is Bree, so that felt sort of perfect. Wow, a palm frond just fell outside of my window really loudly. It's like the risk of living in California. I think that Kim is right. You want someone who gets you and believes in your work, and someone you want to sit with at the lunch table. And Bree was amazing. We went out to lunch, we got along so famously, she has this incredible energy, and I think that's true too. What Dana said about wanting someone who's passionate, that matters so much. You want someone who's passionate about your work and about the job they do. Something I loved about Bree was she genuinely loves her job, and you can tell in everything she says. She's just this effervescent ball of energy and optimism. She also said something in our first phone call that I found really meaningful. She said, "It's my job as an agent to make you feel big. There's so much about this business that makes you feel small, the rejections, the waiting, a million things in between." And it was so wonderful for me to meet a woman who said, "It's my job to make you feel big." Yes, your agent is human. No, you're not always going to agree on everything. But at the end of the day, you want an agent who will make you feel 10 feet tall.
Varies from author to author, from book to book, and there are a lot of factors that go into it. For me, it took a long time. It took me 3.5 years to write Keeper and to revise and do multiple drafts. I started querying in March 2016 and eventually signed my contract with my agent Caitlin in September of 2016. Then we went on submission, and I believe I was offered my contract in February of 2017. And then of course my book is coming out in January of 2018. So it is a bit of a long process when you go the traditional route, but I definitely think it varies. Some books are fast-tracked, some are, you know, bought with the intent of going on the 2020 list or whatever. Like, it really just depends on the book itself, on the publishing house, and what their publishing schedule is.
Well, I certainly think it's different for every book, but just to give an example of my experience, we sold my book in November of 2016, and 7 Days of Stone will be released on May 1st, 2018. So I would say it's about 1.5 to 2 years, give or take. It's a pretty long process of editing and sort of coming up with a marketing plan, and the time goes by so fast. When you first sell your book and get your contract, you sort of feel overwhelmed with how far away it is, but then it just goes by so fast, and you're actually like, no, it's too soon. Like, my book comes out in May, and I'm already sort of panicking and like, oh my gosh, everything's not ready. So yeah.
Such a great question, and such a hard question to answer, because when do you start counting? Do you start with this book I wrote when I was 6? Book happy and sad, or this manuscript of the memoir I wrote when I was 10? Ooh, it's hefty. Or with my first fantasy story, The Snog Pig Mouse. I actually feature a reading of The Snog Pig Mouse if you go look at my very first video on YouTube ever from July. What's interesting about writing is, I think Dana and Kim would say the same, we have so many manuscripts that build up over years and years before the one that finally gets published. I actually got an agent with a manuscript that never sold. I wrote it pretty quickly over the summer of 2012. We got close and nobody ever bought it. So it was actually my second manuscript that sold. That was in June of 2015, and my book will come out July of 2018. So that shows you how long the timeline can be, the publishing timeline, you know, over 3 years for me from getting that book deal to having the book on the shelves. And I'll be totally honest with you, I am incredibly grateful that it's taken longer than I thought. Whenever the timeline got lengthened, I was so sad and bummed and disappointed, and truly every time that it took longer, my book got better. I had time to do more edits, I had new ideas, I met people like Dana and Kim and this whole community, which I wouldn't have done if it had happened as fast as I wanted it to. So my advice for you is simply be patient, see if you can find the good things about waiting. So much of publishing is waiting. I always say you sort of graduate to the next tier of waiting at every part of this process, and that's okay. Really good stuff happens during the waiting periods, so keep your eyes open for that too. That was it. That was amazing. Thank you, Dana. Thank you, Kim. That was the most fun I've had doing a video in a while. If you haven't subscribed to Dana and Kim's channel, please do. Links are below. Thank you so much for sending in such great, interesting questions. It made it a blast for us to do this. I hope it's been fun for you to hear 3 debut authors talk about our experience. It's different for everyone, of course. Your mileage may vary, but hopefully it's been inspiring to you how much love and passion we have for this. If you liked this video, please like it, share it with your friends, subscribe to my channel. I'll do more fun videos on writing and dressing my dog up as Harry Potter. My book, Heart of Thorns, is available for pre-order on Amazon, so I'll include the links to that as well. I wish you so much luck as you're writing and querying in every stage of this process. Keep it up, keep heart, keep writing, believe in yourself, and I really do think good things will happen for you. Thank you again to Kim and Dana for this awesome collaboration. Bye guys!